everyone. Peace and blessings. Can you all see and hear me clearly?
Seba Dja, we see you and hear you. And
Okay.
your screen share is on. Heads up.
Heads up, heads up. So I'm gonna start. I think Basti Baket and whomever she maybe assisting her will start. Uba Munti, are you okay? You can hear? You can hear me? You can nod your head. Okay. Yes, okay. Your mic is off, but that's okay. Basti Baket, you can Uja, everyone. Peace and blessings. You can turn on your cameras, everyone, for this part. And I have to change screen, so I won't be able to see the images when I didn't start my second computer. So just give a shout out if anything. I do have my phone. I may or may not pay attention. Everyone, peace and love. It's good to see faces. Okay, let's see what we're going to do here. Give me a moment. Okay. Because I normally do PowerPoint, but I put it on a PDF also, so that's also new for me to move it. I love it when the music is in sync with the theme, when that synchronicity happens. Oh, Amun Ptah. And that was the temple of Abu Simbel that I was showing there. So the temple of Amun Ra at Abu Simbel. So do everyone, and welcome to the presentation today. And the presentation is going to be by myself and Seba, even though Seba is unable to be here in physical body. As we know in our tradition, the images hold special, higher precedence than the actual physical. And therefore, we will have Seba's image, which will be equally rewarding for us. Seba's done a lot of work already. I was telling you, you've done a lot of work. We have archives. So yes, we will miss you, but also we have you always. So we will utilize those modalities in our modern times to bring Seba along with us with the presentation. And I'll give a little bit of a pre-presentation before him. And I'm Seba Dja, of course. And this is the Heru 21 years and the Temple of Moon 8 years anniversary celebration, March 17, 2024. So congratulations to both groups. So Basti Baket and whoever is assisting you. For the chance, so just to share, just for time's sake. That's interesting. One moment, let me just see something, if this is my correct presentation. I think so, but something was missing. Okay, that's fine. So for the chance, if we could do just a call and response one time, because with all our voices, we will certainly hit the number 4 and maybe even go beyond that. That's how. I'm going to turn off my camera just for one moment.
I was just going to ask if we can have the rest of the cameras go off because the slide is very small otherwise.
Okay.
If you can close your cameras. And Bastu Akko, I believe you're going to be sharing this with me, call and response. And Asar Ma'at, you're going to share the chant with me. Dua. Dua all, and congratulations and many blessings to Temple of Amun and Temple of Heru. So we're going to start with, of course, and our chant to Ampu and the Supreme Divinity in call and response. And you're welcome to join us in your own sacred space with your mic muted. Otebdi nesunetera, anpuepwat neptajese, perkeru kakapet, sineter arima keru.
Otebdi nesunetera, anpu epwat, neptajaser, perkeru, kakapet, sinatarari makeru.
Much to Asenti. Seba Dja, do you want to advance the chant? Dua. Okay. So now Dua Asar Ma'at for doing the response for our daily chants, just a few of them. So Om Amun Ra Ptah.
Om Amun Ra Ptah.
The one divine self manifesting and the trinity of witnessing consciousness, mind, and the physical universe. Om Asar Set Heru.
Om Asara Set Heru.
The one divine self manifesting and the trinity of the divine Father, Mother, and Child. Om Atima Keru.
Om Atima Keru.
The one divine self manifesting as the dual goddesses of truth, of above and below, meaning heaven and earth. Assist us in attaining spiritual enlightenment. Amasuem panater, sauk suemantem panater, alduanama, kili paharu.
Amasuen Paneta, Sauk Suntem Paneta, Adwanma, Keti Paharu.
Give thyself to God. Keep thou thyself daily for God, and let tomorrow be as today. Dua heteru netrita.
Dua Heteru Netrita.
Adorations to Heteru, the great goddess. Dua senti. Hetep.
Dua Hetep.
Dua, much dua, everyone.
Uja Seba Dja.
Me?
We're having little technical difficulties here. We're trying to get the sound going through the Bluetooth, but I did want to do the introduction. Or
You sound very good.
okay, all right.
You're welcome to, if you want to put your camera on, or if you just want to do it with it off, whatever you need to do. Go ahead.
So Uja, everyone, I just wanted to take the time to introduce Seba Dja, our spiritual leader, and also Seba Ma. We give a lot of thanks to the teachings that they have brought to us. We are here celebrating our anniversaries, 21 years for Heru and 8 years for Temple of Amun. And Seba Dja and Seba Ma have both been there during this whole evolving that we've been doing, to grow in the temple. Upsat gave a wonderful lesson today. about why we are not manifesting we are manifesting, but he said we should manifest our divinity as though it's a $1 million. It was a wonderful teaching. And I think one of the things that we need to be very grateful for is that Seba and Seba Dja both were able to resurrect this teaching in a format in which we could assimilate it, to digest it, to understand it. Seba Dja is a wonderful master teacher, as well as, of course, Seba Ma. And we thank you very much for doing this presentation. Again, it's 21 years from Per Heru, so that's a long time of mentorship, and also of giving us the divine teachings to help us realize our divinity. So today we celebrate Amun, and today we celebrate Heru. And Dua Seba Ma and Dua Seba Dja, thank you for this teaching. Hotep.
Hotep. So today's program is going to be focused on the hymn to Amun-Ra from the Perth and Meru papyrus Hunefer, which was translated by Seba Ma, Dr. Muata Ashby. So to begin, we'll have a presentation of the sacred text. Well, Seba Ma is going to do a presentation of the sacred text in his presentation. And this text is sacred, especially and very meaningful to me, because I was around at the time Seba Ma prepared the text, and that's why I had a whole different presentation prepared today in mind today. And when I sat there at the computer and started to put it together yesterday, it shifted to this. So this is a presentation for today. And the presentation I had, Uabamunti and I were speaking, and maybe we'll do it on at the end of the month, the last Sunday in the month. But this is very meaningful because there was, when Uabratem, priest Uabratem, many of you know, he was one of the first groups of clergy with us. He transitioned some time ago, and he was, I believe I can share, so he and Uabamunti were the inspiration for this great project that the aspirants, the Shems at the aspirants and Shems at the Per Amun embarked on. He was the inspiration for that, along with Uabamunti. And so Uabamunti carried on the vision after his transitioning. And so here we are in this sort of monumental time. I'm going to say I'm a little bit empathic also, but also very devotional. So yes, even advanced personalities can get teary. I feel it. So because I know it's a big thing to you all. So we'll work through the physical body and mind, how it expresses the personality. That's all, just such appreciation. Because as Uapsetna was sharing early, what it means to have the community come together with that dedication to bring forth that. And so we appreciate it. And so at the time when Bartem were having these thoughts about what he wanted to do when he moved to North Carolina with Uabamunti, and he was always communicated with Seba Ma a lot. And Seba Ma kept telling him that you need to have a scripture for your group, for your temple, for your building, for your what you're trying to do there. You need to have like a specific scripture that is your scripture. It doesn't mean like you can't, it doesn't belong to anyone else, but something for you. And so, Ubratem was working, to do so many things when you're like, even today for me to be here, Pibama's not here. And there's so many little things to troubleshoot. Up to the last minute, I was sliding into place here. So imagine, he's there working with the students, working with Amunti, taking care of the physical body, his health. He had a challenge he was dealing with. And in spite of that, he brought forth, this group together and led them to, what would become this per Amun building that they have secured, and the anniversary. And so I remember, Sibama having these conversations with him, and then one day Sibama, decided to pick a scripture and to translate it for Amun, for Uvartem. And this was the scripture he picked. And so that's what I wanted to share today. And so I know per Heru is there. And so some of you may be wondering, like, well, but this is per Heru and per Amun. And so we are going to really hit hard on our religious process, because in our religious process, we are going to see that Ra, Heru, Amun are exactly one and the same. And so that's going to be my part of the presentation. And then Sibama is going to share the scripture, this beautiful scripture that he brought forth. So I'm sharing it on behalf of Sibama and the Temple of Aset and the Temple of Heru, which are one and the same. And also on behalf of Per Heru, by embracing our dynamic, henotheistic, panentheistic, and mystical Ma'at, which is a pun. We're going to do lots of math, right? And I like to use mystical Ma'at, which is a pun, because it's the truth of our religion. So this is this. If you want to know where it's found, this Sibama translated it, and it's in the volume 1 of the Egyptian Book of the Dead hieroglyph translations. It's the Papyrus Hunefer, is a version of the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead. And this was brought forth, I had forgotten that, Para Seti 1, the Glorious Life Meditation, Sage Seti Iwa, the Temple of Asar in Abydos that some of you have visited. Yeah, amazing enlightened sage. And so the theme of my part of the presentation is going to be, embracing the dynamic henotheistic pantheism. I meant panentheism, so that should be panentheism of our Kemetic mystical religion. So that might be a misspelling that is all the way throughout. So know that it's you're going to see both of them. Pantheism works also, but really we're talking about panentheism. So what we're talking about is henotheistic panentheism. So apologies when you see that throughout. Can't seem to get it. One there. Okay, there. That's going to miss the top part, I guess. Henotheistic panentheism and Sheter Necher. What does that mean? Briefly, it relates to that we have one supreme being that manifests through various other supreme being or cosmic principles or gods and goddesses, the Netru, as we call them. These are cosmic forces and principles that comprise creation, and therefore humans as well as part of that creation. Thus, we can say, like, creation, which includes human beings, is made of this Paneter, this supreme being. We call it Paneter, the supreme being, this divinity, supreme divinities, this supreme consciousness. These are all different names that we use. And we could say that since this one supreme being, this one Paneter, manifests creation, that really everything in creation is made up of Paneter stuff, consciousness stuff. And therefore, everything in divinity, everything in creation is therefore divine in that sense. And also it is to be understood that creation, including humans, at the same time is not equal to Paneter. So it comes out of Paneter, but it's not the same as Paneter, because Paneter really is something that transcends creation. And then that gets into the whole other philosophy of the mystical illusoriness of creation, which means that there's a reality to it, a time and space relative reality to it. But in its highest sense, it's like as if a dream. And Paneter, the one supreme, is the dreamer. So like when you have a dream, your dream seems so real because it's your consciousness manifesting through the dream, right? But you are the one that's real, and the dream is illusory relative to you. And so that's the concept we mean here, related to Panet, or the one supreme being that we refer to as Neberdjer. And I'm not going to go into the tree of life, but I just put it there because we're going to use it as a little reference. But some of you are familiar with that, the tree of life of Henotheism theology, and some of you have studied that, I think, in Amun. So Henotheism, the one supreme being, manifests through the many Neteru, many gods and goddesses, or cosmic principles. And we relate this supreme being, one of the names we use also is Neberdjer, which means Lord of Limits. And I'm not going to go so much into that. But this Neberdjer is transcendental and then manifests as the various Neteru, the gods and goddesses. However, in our tradition also, when we are focusing at a particular temple system with a particular tutelary divinity that is also the what we call the high god, the divinity. So Amun, temple of Amun, Heru, per Heru, temple of Aset. When we are speaking about a particular temple system, that divinity within that temple system is considered as Neberdjer at the same time. Relative to the group of temple systems, Neberdjer transcends. But when you are so if I'm speaking about the temple of Amun specifically, and Amun is the high god within that system, then when I speak of Amun, we are understanding that Amun is the expression, the time and space expression, so we can talk about this Neberdjer that's transcendental. It's the manifestation aspect, it's the dream aspect, it's the cognitive aspect. Okay, so I'm not going to say more than that for this. So this Kemetic, mystical, metaphysical, higher math, ma'at, pan and ma'at. So I'm going to show a few Kemetic scriptural foundations for embracing the dynamic henotheistic panentheism. Panentheism means that God expresses everywhere and in all things. So we have this, and henotheism relates to the one that expresses through the many, which are really only the one. And so panentheism relates to that. Everything is consciousness stuff. Everything is divine stuff. Look around you. It's all Neberdjer. It's all Amun. It's all Heru. It's all Aset. And so this is what I refer to. We know the term Nuk. We say I am. I am Nuk Neberdjer, Nuk Heru, Nuk Amun, Nuk Amun Ra. That is Nuk. I call it Nuk-ing correctly, right? The I am, the identification of who we are. Ego is when we shift that identification to being this mind, body, personality only, the dream aspect. When we shift to that reality, that's the incorrect Nuk-ing, and that's egoism. Egoism is not the mind and the body. Egoism is not the personality. There's nothing wrong with the mind and body and personality. What's wrong, where the error is made, is when we identify with the mind or body and the personality as our essential nature. It's the identification. So that's why we have awareness of Neberdjer, because that is our correct identification. And in any temple system, awareness of Amun Ra, awareness of Heru, awareness of Aset, is that Nuk-ing correctly. And that's our path to success on the spiritual path. I'm going to go through this very quickly because otherwise it's going to be a very long presentation. So I'm not trying to really teach you all specifically here. I'm just trying to make the greater point. So don't get caught in the details and feel overwhelmed at everything I'm presenting. The greater point is that I just want to show you that we are all connected in this henotheistic system, all our temples, and therefore the scripture that is going to be presented is personal to each and every one of you in a very deep way of Nuk-ing correctly. So this scripture, this is from the Gods and Goddesses book, Seba has Ra, the god Ra. Ra is the first and foremost divinity of Anunian theology. All of the other divinities arise from him. He has several important forms and manifestation. And I will say here, because there's that male-female balance in the Kemetic tradition, that when we say Ra, Ra is androgynous. It encompasses male and female, and it ultimately is neither male and female. Everything proceeds from Ra. So just to say that. He has several important forms of manifestation, but the most important thing to remember is that he is a manifestation of cosmic Heru, the Most High. So right here, and I think I didn't put that here, but right here we're told Ra is Heru. Ra equals Heru. So this is part of our divine, of our mystic higher Ma'at of Ra equal Heru. Ra equals the creator divinity. Therefore, Ra equals Kepra. Ra equals Ra, of course. Ra equals Ratem. Ra Harakti there can be. Ra equal all divinities. So with me in your own sacred space, repeat Nuk Ra. Nuk Ra. Let's Nuk correctly. I am Ra. And let's say that here also, Nuk Heru. Nuk Heru. Right? Because we made that here. I am Heru. Okay, we go to another page, page 28. And it says, Heru in Egypt was the reincarnation of Asar, his father, who was himself an incarnation of the high god Ra, the absolute abode of all things. At the same time, Heru is the symbol of the human soul, the essential nature of the innate hero, heroine within every human being. So let's go to our divine math, our mystic Ma'at. Heru equals Asar equals Ra. We got that up here. Heru equals Asar equals Ra. Heru equals innate hero, heroine in you. Therefore, if we do our math correctly and Nuk correctly, you equal Heru equal Ra. If you agree with the math, if you don't agree, then you're Nuking incorrectly. But if you agree with the mystic Ma'at, you equal Heru equal Ra equal Asar Nuk Heru. Repeat with me. Nuk Ra Nuk Asar. Let's Nuk correctly. Okay, let's go here. This is from the Kemetic Tree of Life, the teaching of the Hawk iconography. And again, don't get into the details. Just we're going over it. Seba is showing here Ra Harakti, Heru Ur, Kansu, Asar Sokor. And what do you notice that they all have in common? They're all hawk divinities, right? And so Seba is pointing out that they're aspects of each other. I think I put it page 141 if you want to go read in that book. I'm not going to get into all the details, but that's the understanding. So from here we have Ra Harakti equals Heru Ur equals Kansu equals Sokar. Kansu, as we know, right? Amun, Mut, and Kansu. Kansu is the child of Mut and Amun. So Kansu and Amun are related. They're aspects of each other. So if you are a part of this, then it means you are Ra Harakti. You are, or I am, right? Nuk, I am. Heru Ur, you're Kansu, you're Sokar. Let's Nuk correctly. Nuk Ra Harakti with me. Nuk correctly with me. Nuk Ra Harakti. Nuk Heru Ur. Nuk Kansu. Nuk Sokar. Let's Nuk correctly. You're getting the theme, I hope. I am not going to go into this one because Seba is going to present it. But this is a scene from the tomb. I like to say temple because it's so beautiful. The tomb temple of Queen Nefertari. And what do you see in the image here? Is it Ra? Is it Amun? And we have the two serpent power goddesses, which will be important for next week's discussion. Nebehet and Aset. And we have a Caduceus. That's a whole other discussion. But the point of this, we'll see that Seba points out that the scripture is saying how Ra is one in Amun and how Amun is one in Ra, at peace in Ra, and a step in Ra. So I'll leave that for there. But you get it, right? Nuk-Amun Ra. Nuk-Amun Ra. Let's Nuk correctly. We'll go to Abu Simbel Temple now. I showed the 360 at the beginning, and we'll go there virtually for a moment. And these are older images. This is from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, Hieroglyph Translation, Volume 5, Temple of Amun-Ra, Abu Simbel. And so let's go there. So give me a moment. So this, I'm not going to go into details of the layout, but just to know there's where we're going to be in this hypostyle hall number 1, because this is the entrance here. This is the Holy of Holies, but the numbering system comes out from the Holy of Holies. So most people, when tourists, they go there, they go, oh, this is the first one. But this is actually the second one. This is the first one. And so our panel is going to be here. So give me a moment to just share, to shift. Sharing the screen. Give me a moment. So this is the 360 that Seba prepared. Of the Temple of Abu Simbel, which is amazingly beautiful. And I don't think we have it online as yet. So that is a work in progress. Seba is collecting some better resolution 360s to upgrade it a little bit, and then hopefully we'll be able to get it online at some point in time. This is Seba Dja here at the entrance. And let's go into the temple, and we're going to do just a fast walkthrough. We're not going to. There's a beautiful scene over in this side of Heru and Set. We don't really have. Oh, sorry. I'm with the wrong temple. I was at the temple of Heru when I said that. This is the temple of Amun Ra at Abu Simbel. Yes. So that is not. Yeah. Let's go here. I was thinking of the other temple of Queen Nefertari at the same site that has the image of Heru. So we're going back there to that hypostyle hall. And actually, I have it queued up on another, so I don't have to find it. It's a little tricky. This is the Holy of Holies. Let's see if we can get there, follow our little pathway in a short time. Otherwise. This is carrying the divine boat. This is that room. It's also the boat room. And this is our image here in the wall we will focus on. And here it is a scene with the royal personality making an offering, right? And this is a temple of Amun Ra. So on this side is like Amun imagery and Ra image, well, Amun Ra imagery. And so not to get into detail with it, the point I want to make. So we have Amun. This is Khonsu. And who is this? This should be Mut. Is it Mut? We will see in a moment. I look up here and I see a symbol of a set. Oh, how is that? We have the different temple systems. They're all seemingly mixed up. When Seba and I started in this journey, we used to have an altar and we used to have all the Neteru, and we realized it overwhelmed aspirants at that time because they were like, which one is my tutelary, and and it's like, there's so many. And we're going to see that it's not overwhelming if we knew correctly. So let's go here to the book. So I will leave this here. We will stop sharing, and then I'll go back to the presentation and show some from the book that Seba goes through a brief explanation. We're not going again in detail because the main point is just the Nuk-ing correctly that I want to share. Okay, so let's see. Again, I'm not going into detail of it. So this is the scene that we just saw. And what I'm going to emphasize, so Seba breaks down the text of the royal personality. We're not going to focus on that. Text of Amsu Min, Asar, woo. Amsu Min, Asar. This personality is Amsu Min, which is Amun, and it's Asar. Wow. And this personality texts of Ramses as Khonsu Heru. So here we have Ramses, the royal personality. And if you consider yourself to be the royal personality, then we're talking about you possibly, if you consider yourself to be the royal personality, as Khonsu and as Heru, if you're Nuk-ing correctly. And this is Mut, but it is also a set. So if we're Nuk-ing correctly, we are Nuk, Mut, a set. Wow. I really mean that, right? When you embrace it. So Amsu Min is a moon. Khonsu equals Heru. Aset is the mother of Amsu, Khonsu, Heru. It tells us that, divine mother. The scripture tells us that, divine mother, mistress, having a queen mother. And therefore, if we're Nuk-ing correctly, we're Nuk-Mut, the wife of Mut, the wife of Amun. Nuk-Mut, the wife of Amsu Min. Nuk-Aset, wife of Amsu Min. Nuk-Aset, wife of Amun. Nuk-Aset, Mut. Nuk correctly with me. Nuk-Mut. Nuk-Aset. Nuk-Amsu Min. Nuk-Amun. Nuk-Khonsu. Nuk-Heru. When we go to, I already kind of emphasized this, when we go to the personality of Khonsu, this is where Ramses nukes correctly. He doesn't see Khonsu. He doesn't see Heru. He sees himself as Khonsu Heru. He's nuking correctly. He is the divine child. Is that you? Are you nuking correctly? Again, Nuk is I am, that transcendental spirit. Nuk Neberdjer, Nuk with me. Nuk Neberdjer, Nuk Ra, Nuk Heru, Nuk Amun, Nuk Mut, Nuk Aset, Nuk Khonsu. This is the image of the whole aspect. Nuk Amun Ra, Nuk Amsu Min, Nuk Amsu Min Ra, Nuk Amun Ra, Nuk Asar, Nuk Amun, Nuk Heru. Nuk, therefore, in our mystical ma'at, Nuk Amun. This comes back to the celebration today. Nuk Amun equals Nuk Ra equals Nuk Heru and Nuk Asar and Nuk Aset. Going briefly to the temple of Asar in Abydos, and we're going to look at this image here and the sanctuary wall. Again, we're not getting into the details. I'm not reading details. We're looking at the highlights. This is an image, looks like Asar, but then I see an image of Heru, but then I see this that relates to Min. It's Iktifalit. Who is this? So again, here we have this imagery that is Heru Sa Aset, Heru, the son of Isis, of Aset, right? Who is Amsu Min in the hieroglyph. So this personality is Amsu Min, which is Amun, which we also learn is Heru. And here it says it is Heru, son of Aset. So who is this Amun's raw scripture talking about? Who is it for? It's for you. It's for Per Amun. It's for Per Heru. It's for Per Aset. It's for Per Mut. Here, Seba talks about it. He says, the divine family of Amun Ra, Mut, and Khonsu is also the divine family of Asar, Aset, and Heru. And just for time's sake, I'm not going to go into the reading. That's the gist of it. He goes on to explain how that is so. So you can go to those pages 153 to 154 to get more in detail with that. Or if you're looking at the video sometime in the future, stop the video and read just for time's sake. So here again, in the Kemetic tree of life, there's a form of Heru called Heru Murti, Heru of the two eyes being open, which is also an aspect of Min or Amsu Min, and his ties to Heru in the Theban theurgy of Waset. Of course, you know that Min represents the fullness of sexual power, male and female sexual power. So male and female genders are included in the male or female divinities. We have cosmic principles within us are both. So Heru has harnessed the power of sexual energy employed it to the project of attaining self-mastery, the redemption of the sorrow within you. And that is the goal for a spiritual aspirant to attain. Nahast, spiritual enlightenment. Nuk, Neberdjer. Nuk-ing correctly. We can just leave it even as Nuk, I am. Again, I'm not going to go into here, but here we have the Trinity, right, of Amun, Ra, Ptah, and how it comes from Neberdjer, Noon, the primeval vision. I love Nuk-ing, Noon. That's my one of my tutelaries, Nuk Noon, because that is all-encompassing ocean of consciousness that comes forth, brings forth everything else. So Nuk Noon with me, Nuk Capri Atum Ra with me. And then that goes into Amun Ra Ptah. And then Amun Mutun Kansu, Asar Set and Heru, Ptah, Sekhmet, and Nefertem. Even though I'm not focusing on them today, they are all part of this. Nuk-ing correctly. So in conclusion, then this is a temple's network of systems that Seba has in the books, and everything is interconnected. So that for Heru is that for Amun today, for this program is quite fitting, and that we are all here with whatever purs we are. And really the temple of the pur is the temple of pur in the innermost heart. And that's where we reside if we are Nuk-ing correctly. We are all one in the Netru family, and we are Amun Ra. Nuk, Amun Ra. So the Kemetic mystical map, if we multiply 1 by 1 by 1 by 1, we always get 1. And that 1 is the Ua, the unity that we are. We are per Shatau Neter. That's what we are. We are the building, the temple of the teachings of Shatau Neter. Dua to Sebai Ma, and dua to all the sages of Kemet for allowing us to enter into their temple. And dua to Neberdjer and all the Neteru. Nuk. That ends Seba Dja's presentation, and now we're going to go to Seba Ma's presentation. And you can find this presentation by Seba Ma and Kemet TV. If you have any questions about it, Bastu Bucket will be more than willing to facilitate your process. And this is an amazing archive of Kemetic mystical spiritual wisdom for spiritual enlightenment. This should be the TV that you watch. And that's what the idea that came to us is like, how can we have all this reservoir, this archive, this giant library. Everything is talked about the library in Alexandria, how great it was. We have this great, wonderful library. And so access it for your spiritual enlightenment that Seba Ma's brought forth. And myself in that facilitating process. And all of you that have been with us over the years, many years. So let's go to Seba Ma's presentation. Does anyone have any questions or while I transition? And if there are any, you can type them in the chat and I will take a look at them. And also while I'm just transitioning, I can hear if you have anything. Whatever you ask, I'm just going to say, are you Nuk-ing correctly? Because that's the answer to everything. That solves it. You go in the ignorance of one, Nuk. And it's a pun also, right? It's like a pun on, like, what is the term nuking? Like when you think of a nuclear bomb, right? They say nuke this and nuke that. What do you want to blow up? What do you want to blow up? And nuke correctly is the misidentification. You want to blow up the personality. You don't want to blow up the mind. You don't want to blow up the thoughts. You don't want to blow up the feelings. Those are all part of the spiritual aspirant's journey. What you want to blow up is the incorrect nuking. And we do that simply by shift. Satna talked about that in his presentation, a little bit how it challenges it to make that shift. But really, we are Neberdjer. That's the reality. There's no challenge in our minds to difficulty in making the shift. The difficulty is in maintaining our false identification. You see how many challenges it brings us? You look at a sage who has identified themselves with their true essence. They're at peace. They're happy. They're joyous. They have no problem. I mean, they have problems in time and space and the relative reality like everyone else, but they have no problem internally because they knew correctly. This maintaining the false identification that we think is so hard, it is hard to be somebody that you're not. The easiest thing is to be who you are. Even actors and actresses, they cannot assume a character and be that character for more than an hour when they're shooting their scenes, or a day. Even like after that, they have to take a break. They don't stay in character for days and weeks and months till they can't. That would be extremely difficult to live their lives and do that. That's very hard to do. So all the difficulty that we have as spiritual aspirants, all those challenges, is just from Nuk-ing incorrectly. So let's blow that up, blow it up, and by Nuk-ing correctly. Hetep. Let's go to Seba. If there are any questions, I will take them at the end, just for time's sake. Just quickly in chat. Okay, okay, I will turn off my camera. And we welcome Seba. I'm starting it just where he starts to talk without an introduction, because I think we've given an introduction. Okay, skip my net.
So beginning with verse 1. Anete hedke, Amun hetep hed maat, uja ke hert. Praises and homage to you, O Amun-Ra, who are satisfied, quiescent on the pedestal of Maat, as well as when you make your nautical journey through the sky. So right here in verse 1, we are being given some important aspects of Amun. First of all, he makes a journey through the sky as the sun. And not only does he make this journey, he does it in Hetep, which is a kind of contradiction in terms, if you think about it. Hetep means, in its ultimate form, it means the solution of duality. It also means, of course, peace as well, because if you're solving this duality, you're not going to be doing any action. Because an action implies that you are engaged with something else other than yourself, which means duality. So he makes a journey in the boat, and you can see the image of the boat where it says Uja. And this is the same Uja that means vitality, but with the determinative of the boat. So it gives an indication of a voyage, of an energetic voyage, a voyage of energy, of vitality, of power. And also in Maat, so he's sitting, think of the image of Amun sitting in his boat, and he's sitting on the pedestal of Maat, meaning that he's righteous and true as he makes his voyage. And so this alludes to some other things I'm going to deal with later in the scripture, so I'm going to move on here now, but keep that in mind, this issue of being at peace and also being in motion. And Amun as being the sun in the sky, who operates in righteousness. Verse 2. Iu herneb ma nek rud ke sekedet mke. All people see you as you make your journey through the sky. As you rise in the morning, you grow to fullness in the majestic essence. there are two important aspects or two important components of this scripture, and really most of the scriptures. And one of them is, especially with the hymns, though, the hymns are special in this way, that you have a devotional component, and then you also have a philosophical or mystic component. So the regular population would read this scripture, and if they're not initiated into it the way you're being initiated into it now, they would see wonders and glories in the scripture, and they might not understand all of them, but they would be awed by it. They would, wow, this glorious being that's in the sky making a journey in a boat and with mud and all those kind of things. And so therefore, this scripture can be used for public worship, public devotion. And as I said earlier, the scripture can be used for daily readings. Even if people don't understand it, they can be used for daily readings. And then in a more detailed philosophical class, then the issues can be more elaborated and more concentrated upon. So this verse 2 is alluding to a morning worship. Everybody is seeing Amun Ra Grove in the sky. And this is from the east. When the sun is in the east, it's small. When it's and it doesn't produce a lot of heat. When it comes up to noon, then it grows and it's more powerful. So this is a morning worship, a morning adorations to Amun Ra. He's being lauded as a majesty, and him means majesty. It also means priests and priestesses. It also means slave, but that's not, that particular meaning is not assigned to God. It's assigned to more of the followers, like priests and priestesses. They're slaves. Okay, verse 3. This is the first time that this word Satu appears. Satu ke em Heru an rektu an nezu pu. Your rays shine on the faces of all the peoples on earth, and yet your true essence is not known, and neither can that be expressed by means of speech, by any person's mouth, nor can it be pronounced in any language. So this term Satu, those of you who are in the Temple of Aset class might recognize this. This is when it was talking about Ra being pierced and how he was leaking out Ketanach, fire of life. And so this word Satu in this context means rays. It means sun rays. It means something that's shooting out. But the implication of the glyph is an arrow with a piece of skin. And so what it's implying is that the rays are penetrating. They're not just shining. They're not just like rays. They're actually penetrating the personalities, penetrating the people. And this is something, again, the Temple of Aset, the Scripture of Aset, had something similar, where it's talking about how the rays of Tim are spreading all over the place, all over people's faces, and then she collected the life force that was in it. And so this is something similar to that. The important aspect of this teaching now, though, is anvektu and amnezu. So even though these rays are penetrating people and giving you life force and sustaining your existence, and you can see the sun, still the essence of that is not known by those same people who are witnessing it. So people are looking at the sun, they have no idea what is really going on inside the sun or behind it. And neither can they express that in words either. It's just so awe-inspiring. So there's a mystery. There's an exoteric aspect and there's an esoteric aspect to Amun-Ra. And if there's time after this, we'll go through we'll do a little bonus scripture for you as well about this issue. But it's in the book though. So verse 4. Hel atfu zenueth wepu helke ua mi. You are the entity forging a path through creation. His double. It is that is seen. But it is nevertheless thee who are one. Just as, and I think that goes to verse 5. So Ra can be seen, Amun-Ra can be seen, but not, but its essence is not known, and it cannot be spoken with words, meaning that it cannot be expressed by the mind. And in verse 4, we're being told you are the entity forging a path through creation. So Amun-Ra is the how shall we say, the force, the essence, the person, the responsible entity who moves through creation, who infuses it with life force. But that personality, that entity that is seen is only the double. And again, those of you who went to the Temple of Aset class, you'll see this theme as being familiar. Amun-Ra has a double, and the one that is the double is the one that is seen in the sky. So we're being told that Amun has that the one that is in the sky is one aspect, and then there's another aspect. Of course, the Amun means hidden; it's a hidden aspect. But even though we have two aspects, they are one and the same. So the hidden aspect and the is one is essentially one with the visible aspect. That's what we're being told in verse number 4. So even though it cannot be known, or it's not being known by people, it's not known, they cannot express it. They are seeing the outer manifestation of it, and that is the sun in the sky. And there's a hidden aspect. But even though what we're saying seems to be a duality, actually it is they are one and the same. That's what we're being told in verse 4. Verse 5. Ma dena se oashu zen em renke. So, nevertheless, it is Amun-Ra is one, and just like a one who brings vegetable growth to a chamber of growing vegetation, and with it food sustenance, an act causing them, the people who are witnessing the sun up in the sky, to worship you by means of uttering your name. So Amun-Ra is that non-dual self that brings life force to the world where the vegetation grows. It's saying in a way that this action by Amun Ra to bring this life force to the place where life force grows, essentially where vegetation grows, that act causes the worship of Amun Ra's name. And the worship is the name itself, Amun Ra. So and this is the dua posture that you're seeing here that I did at the beginning when we first opened. Sewashu. Owashu is worship, and Se means to cause. And so part of the worship is raising the arms in the dua posture, where you see that there's a scroll here, which means that there's an abstract aspect to this.
I just wanted to make sure that we realize when they say uashu, that's a different spelling of what we say uashu with the devotion. It's the same thing if you're thinking that it is. That's up.
So your worship, even though it is blind in a way, because you don't know the name, you don't know the essence, you can't express it, but still this reciprocal glory that Amun Ra is bringing is sufficient to elicit adorations and divine love. And so that affirmation and that adoration, just the utterance of Amun Ra's name, Amun Ra, Amun Ra, Amun Ra, Amun Ra. If that adoration goes on, it leads to a kind of devotional, a growing devotional love for Amun, and the transformation of the vibrations of the personality. It leads to one-pointedness of mind. It leads to glorifying Amun Ra. And if the wisdom, the metaphysics of the chapter are known, of course, then it leads to union with Amun Ra and spiritual enlightenment. Moving on to verse 6. Ag zen am ke mi neti her zen nek entek segent el. They swear by you, like one who is upon them, overseeing them. They beseech you because of your listening to their pleas with, this is together with verse 7, so we'll do verse 7 together. Ankui ke Petra ke Heru em. You're listening to their pleas with attentive overhearing, as one who truly cares and listens. Millions of people are observing you throughout. So verse 6 and verse 7, this is part of the devotional aspect, where it's being affirmed that because Amun brings this life force and he elicits the chanting of his name in adorations. And this is something that is recommended in the wisdom text, to adore God's name. Because that is happening, and this is a fact, that the sun up in the sky is the source and is the sustenance, the whole reason why life exists in this planet. So this is real. It's something that you can see tangibly. And so people swear by that. And when you swear by something, it means that you are trusting in that, you are believing in the absolute truth of that. So people swear by Amun Ra because he is true, he is righteous, and he is a sustainer and a living God who, not just an abstract God who you might say, oh, there's a God somewhere and I just pray and hopefully God listens. This is a visual fact. This growing of meditation that you should see as a fact of the existence of God, and by implication, then, if God is real and doing something tangible like growing stuff, then he's also listening, and he's also close to the people, close to the life that is growing, that he himself penetrating, and he is self-sustaining. So he has living ears. He just doesn't have like ears of like deaf ears, who you might think God is up there somewhere. Let me just pray and hopefully God will listen, like I was saying before. Verse 8. Tawiu an Jeba im out ke erzen. Millions of people are observing you throughout the lands, the world over. However, they are not able to search out your essence as you traveled and as they are witnessing you. That goes into verse 9. First of all, this first word here, let me fix this. Tawiu. When you have the word tawi, which means when you have two of the glyphs, then it means dual. It means duality. When you have three of anything, then it means multiple. And so, in this context, tawiu does not mean just multiple pieces of land. It means all the lands. It means the entire earth, the entire world. So millions of people are observing Amun Ra throughout the entire world. That's really what is being meant by this verse. However, they are not able to search out the essence. And this is like a reiterating what was given before, talking about how the Anthrektu, the essence, it cannot be known. That was in verse 3, Anthrektu and Anmezu. So the tongue cannot speak it, and the mind cannot know it, or it is not known by the people who are doing the worship. Verse 9. Ketu, Ked, Apke, Heru, Nefer, Emplen, Ke, Het. So from the end of verse 8, as you travel and as they are witnessing you in your presence on a beautiful day, as you manifest in your name, traveler, and then verse 10, Owatu, Atru, and Hehu, Hefnu. Traveler of revolution, of revolving paths. That is a title of Amun Ra. At the end of verse 9, and going into verse 10. Het Owatu. So traveler of revolving paths. Of paths, and the revolving we get from this determinative glyph here. Tesh. but it's not spoken in this as part of this word. So Hept means traveler, and then Watu means revolving paths. Who traverses the waterways, the rivers, lakes, canals, and streams of creation through millions, hundreds of thousands. So verse 10, Owatu, Atru, and Heru, Hefnu. So this is an important verse. This is one of the important verses. So we're going to go into a little bit of detail, not much, but a little detail, and so you can get an idea of how important this verse is. First of all, we're being told that the title of Amun-Ra is Traveler of Revolving Paths, who traverses the waters. And this means all the waters, not just like the waters of the Nile or the waters of the ocean. And all this relates to all the waters of the earth. And it really implies the waters of the Noon as well, but we're not going there yet. But he does this. The important part of this verse 10 is that he does this, Hehu and Hefnu. Hehu means millions, and Hefnu means hundreds of thousands. Hef means million or indeterminate. And Hefnu or Hefen means 100,000. But when you see it with the 4 lines, it means hundreds of thousands. When you have 2, it would mean 200,000. If you have 3, it means multiple hundreds of thousands. And when you have 4, it really means like an indeterminate number. It means a high number. So we'll look at this verse 10 here, if I can find the file for it. Let's see. Now, this is the verse 10, and what I was explaining to you just now, the significance really means indeterminate number when you have these 4 lines. And so what it's discussing is that Amun-Ra is the one who journeys in a revolving way. A revolving means that you go make your journey, you come back to where you started, and you have a revolution, a revolving path. So you go around the sun and you come back to the same place where you were yesterday. That's what's being referred to. And so Amun-Ra makes this journey, a revolving paths, for millions of hundreds of thousands of times. So I have 3 contexts to give you to discuss this point. If we use the most conservative interpretation of the scripture, which gives us 4, and I already told you that that's not the real meaning. The real meaning when you have 4 is indeterminate, so it can be a million, 2 million, a billion, whatever. But let's just say we're using 4. 400 million times 400,000 is 1,600,000,000,000,000,000 revolutions. Okay, and so if we say that one revolution is 1 day, we're going to see what that means in just a minute. But just to give the context here, if the Earth is 4 billion years old, approximately, 400 billion times 365 days per year is 1.46 trillion. And that's 1 voyage per day. So 1.46 trillion days, if I have my math correct. And that's a smaller number than what the scripture is saying, even at the most conservative interpretation. That's a smaller number. the age of the earth. Context number 2. If we take that number of 1.6 quadrillion and divided by that same number of the days, 1.46 trillion days, you get 1,095. So you have 1,095 4 billion year periods. So this is 1,095 do-overs or chances to create a world to the level of what this world is created to now. Okay, so what this means is that if we use the conservative interpretation of this scripture, it means that Amun-Ra had almost 1,100 chances to create this world. 1,100 chances to develop, allow it to develop in a way. So there could have been 1,000 and 94 times that there was another world, and so that human beings going to be allowed to develop, or some other life form. I'm just trying to give you an idea of the scale that we're talking about. So the verse acknowledges the idea of creation that is cyclical and on an order of time that encompasses scientifically provable age of the Earth, planet, over 1,095 times. So let's go further. Context number 3. If you take that 1.6 quadrillion, dividing it by 365, the number of revolutions, so we can get the number of years. We're talking about 384 billion years. So how many world systems, how many creations could God have had? I didn't make that. If you multiply, you can see that it's going to be a huge number. It's not going to be 1,095. It's going to be in the millions. So this is just to give you an idea of the scale of time and the capacity of Amun-Ra that we're talking about. Okay, and what I'm saying now is going to be, we're going into another interesting context that you're going to see right now. Okay, verse 11. Uja ke su hetepu hem aku. Your voyages. So he does this for millions of hundreds of thousands of voyages, which are performed in peace and harmony as you paddle along in your boat upon the waters of creation. So these millions and millions of journeys, millions and millions of days, the revolutions of the sun, dawn, noon, dusk, dawn, noon, dusk, dawn, noon, dusk. Think of that billions and billions of times. These travelings, this movements of the traveler of revolving paths, it's all happening in Hetepu. Not just Hetep, in Hetepu, in a kind of peace that is continuous, that is multiplied. And here, Amun is paddling upon those waters, but he's doing it again in peace. Again, the question is, how can Amun do this in peace? how can he be doing something which implies action, which implies duality? Because if you're doing action, it means that you're acting with or against something else, something other than yourself. So I'd say, no, Amun is doing this in Hetapu. We'll leave that idea for now, and we'll come back to it. Verse 12. Eraset, mer enke, arike su unut. So in verse 11, we have he's paddling along the boat upon the waters of creation, so as to reach the dwelling place that is desired by you. You make those voyages which occur in a moment of time. So what's being given here in verse 12 is that Amun-Ra is making this journey in Hetapu. He's doing this action, which is also at the same time in Hetapu, in some kind of in undetermined way so far, like a contradiction in terms, and so that he can reach the dwelling place that is desired by him. And we're not only being told that, we're being told that these journeys of the traveler of evolving paths, these journeys are done in Hetapu. Not only Hetapu, they are done in a moment of time. That's what the unut means in this context. So far, we're being told that these journeys occur, these billions of journeys occur in Hetapu by the traveler of revolving paths. So these journeys start, and then they reach back to an abode that is desired. Aset in this means abode because she has the determinative of a building. So it's an abode, a location. So Amun-Ra makes a journey, but he returns to the place that is loved by him. And he does this journey in a moment. And really, in this context, the implication is that the moment is a moment of time, but really a moment that is so small that it can barely be said to occur in time and space. It is, but the time is so small that it is beyond even our perception. And that is like a context similar to what was presented in the Temple of Aset course, where it's talking about how the Hinti periods, how for Ra, the period of 120 years is like a day. 120 years for humans is like a day for Ra, that kind of thing. There's time is relative, in other words. But this that we're being told now is we're going even beyond that now, because we're being told that Ra is doing this work. So 24 hours, the sun goes across and comes back to the point where it dawns in the east. And Ra is doing that in a moment of time, like in no time at all. And for us, it takes 24 hours. That's what we're being told. Verse 13. Shedat hetep ke kamnek unut in asar mer per. In a moment that is small. So it's being reiterated now from verse 12. You do this even as you are in that peaceful state of that neutralizes duality, and you bring to an end time itself. Now these words are spoken by the initiate Osiris, who serve as overseer of buildings. So basically in verse 13, now we're being told, that it's being reiterated now, that the moment of time is small. So a moment itself is small, so this is like a moment of time. And yet, for Amun, this time, this is essence, is Hetep. It's still one and the same, and we're starting to move into the kind of idea that time itself is an illusion, and Amun is not operating in time and space the way we think. He is operating, but he's not operating on a scale that we are working in as human beings. He is in a divine time and space, which transcends time. And so he makes his journey. Think about it. You're sitting in meditation, and let's say that you need to get up. Somebody's you have to go to work, and so you get up and you work, and then you go to sleep, do all things for a day, and you come back at the same time to do your meditation the next day. What would it be like if this is really what it's getting at? What would it be like if you're doing your meditation in Hetep, and then you were to get up and do all those things throughout the day, but never get up from your meditation spot? What would that be like? Wouldn't that happen if your consciousness is in Amun? No matter what you're doing, you're in that same place, moment by moment. No matter what's going on, no matter where you're going, no matter what you're doing, and that is realized Amun consciousness. And if that happens, then all the activities of the day, all your paddling along, is done in Hetepu, and you are not separated from the divine self. You're not separated between your exoteric and your esoteric aspect. Verse 14. Now we are being told that these are some final words that are going to be spoken by Asar Hunefer, and in a context of a spiritual divine worship session, how this could be manifested is that the scripture could be read, and then the name of Amun Ra could be chanted at the appropriate time, and then the reading by the initiate can be read by the aspirants who are present. And this is what Hunefer is to say, the aspirant is to say. Eneb Tawi Hunefer. Makeru Jedeth Ia. So he is the overseer of all the buildings in the two lands. So you see, here's the difference between two lands and in dual, as opposed to the multiple that we talked about earlier. Tawi versus Tawiu. So the overseer of the lands, all the lands, Hunefer, this is, in this context, is the upper and lower Egypt. So we're not just talking about Egypt. He's not the overseer of all the lands of the world. And the name Hunefer means one of good taste, one good spiritual taste. Hu means taste, and Nefer means good. It's like a spiritual taste, like you have a taste for divine things, a taste for divine glories, divine worship, as opposed to a taste for worldly things. And so, because of all this, he is being said that he is Makeru, which means that he is spiritually victorious, true of speech. So he says, "Oh," and then it proceeds from here. I think I have a separate file for this, so we'll go to that separate file right now. This is a detail of the scripture from verse 14 to 17. And it's highlighting the speech of Hunefer. So in verse 14, it starts Ia, and 15, Ia neb a mas bebi, he und hu en jeta Ia aton. O my Lord, you who are the bringer of eternity, whose very existence is that of eternity and of forever. O Sundus, who is the face of your deeper essence. The word Aten, from Atenism, which is from Akhenaten, but Aten is a word that existed before Akhenaten, and it means like the face of the sun. And Aten means like the outer manifestation, the exoteric manifestation of the sun. And Akhenaten acknowledged this, and he used this in the same way, but he also said that there is a deeper essence. So Akhenaten was following the same philosophy. Akhenaten was not a monotheist in the context the way modern Egyptology or modern writers like to say. So Aten, so Hunefer is addressing the Aten in verse, and he's affirming to the Aten. Verse 16, Huneb satut uben ke an her nebu dike. So, O Aten, O Sundus, who is the face of the deeper essence, of your deeper essence, from which all the sun rays shine forth out of thee, and which afford life to all people. So again, this is an affirmation. This is the Satut again, you see? These sun rays that penetrate human bodies, and it penetrates the earth, and it causes greenery to emerge, causes life to emerge. Verse 17. Matu hebdeb duati Heru neb in asad sesh. You give the glory of the sight of thee, who are the first and foremost being leader of the morning each day. So this is the utterance or the chant that is to be, this is like an affirmation, this is like an adoration to Amun Ra, that the scripture is being used as a daily worship. This would be the part where all the attendees, aspirants, would make this affirmation. O sunless, who is the face of the deeper essence, from which all sun rays shine forth out of thee, and which afford life to all people, you give the glory of the sight of thee, who are the first and foremost being, leader of the morning each day. So Amun Ra is the leader. Her Dep or Tep. It means the first person, the captain or chief or leader. So there is no other person. Amun Ra is the most important person of the morning. Even the pharaoh or the kings and queens or whoever, they come after. And then we go to the final verse, verse 18. Men per men matra Hunefer. These, verse 17, these words, ending from verse 17, let's go back there a little bit. These words were spoken by the Osiris initiate, the scribe, who served as overseer of buildings for the king, Pharaoh, whose spiritual name of the king is Men-Ma Ra, or one who is firm in the righteousness, order, and truth in spirit, also known as Seti Ua. And you're familiar with Seti Ua, Seti the First, who was the one who commissioned the Glorious Light meditation system. Thus, these words were spoken by the initiate Hunefer as adoration of Amun Ra and declaration of devotion, wisdom, and enlightenment afforded by the majesty Amun Ra. And this is the conclusion of the hymn to Amun Ra in the papyrus Hunefer.
Just wanted to give this image because where I started it did not have an image of Seba, so that he's officially imaged there on there with the scripture. Give me one moment. So that video actually continues. So that video actually continues. It's like a 2-hour video, and there's question and answers, and Seba gets deeper into the philosophy as it continues. And so I encourage you to, and I said it's on Kemetic TV. And I wanted to share, I'll go back to the what I had on the screen. So actually there, so you can see it in Kemetic TV in the archives there, the repository. And I wanted to just go back to a couple of things here, and then. So this idea of the pantheism versus panentheism. And I said I meant to put panentheism, and I didn't realize, probably the auto type filled it in because that's it knows that one. So, oh, sorry, it's not sharing the screen. Yeah, sorry. So this, I said this should be panentheism. And I was going to try to run and make the change, but this is time and space reality. And we're human beings, and the one thing human beings will do in time and space, including sages, is make errors of different kinds. It's part of the human embodiment process. So we have to be understanding of the process of ourselves. And we could always go back and change things and readdress things as we move forward in life. So the pantheism really relates to the idea that God is everywhere in manifestation. God, everything is the essence of God in manifestation. So we have that. But we go one step further because the panentheism talks about this part here. This is where the panentheism comes. It says that even though God is everywhere, everything is consciousness stuff, everything is divine stuff, everything is Ra stuff. Really, this is still like a dream-like mystic illusion reality, and it's not really the divinity. The divinity, the essence of who you are, the Nuk-ing correctly transcends this. Again, just like how you asleep in your bed are transcending what's going on in your dream world reality, which seems so real to you as you're dreaming, but the real you transcends that. And when you wake up to the real you, the dream world disappears. And that goes into some of the ideas that Seba was talking about time and space and the illusion of time. You can, how many dreams, you can actually in a few minutes dream of a quadrillion years, right? You can actually have multiple dreams of a quadrillion years in one evening. And when you wake up, nothing really happened from the absolute of who you are, the person asleep in the bed that just woke up. It all vanishes. Yet at the same time, it all occurred. You could have million and one dream. You can like dream that the world is created, dream that the world dissolves, dream that the world is created, dreams that you can have like that, 1,100 times in an evening. So that gives the depth of understanding of, sort of some of the concepts that we discussed in the mystical tradition, mystical Kemetic spiritual tradition. And this is not something that is to be understood in one learning, one understanding, one take. It's something that has to be repeated, right? Over and over again. There's a word, and I can't remember it. I think it's from the Heru scripture. I think it means pounded. And I did write it down somewhere because I wanted to have that at the tip of my tongue to use like at a time like this, but it means pounding, pounding, pounding. So the teaching has to be pounding, pounding, pounding over and over again, the same scripture. And so just a couple of things that Seba, I'm looking at with you in real time here, but just a couple of things that stood out for me. One is that I remember when he was putting this scripture together, just like if those of you went to the recent conference, what Seba highlighted about that scripture is that it is accessible. It's really for everyone. It creates a certain culture. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I was looking this, it was just so profound. So per Heru and per Amun, this is work that you all can get together to do and just go through with each other and together as a group over a certain period of time, maybe once a month, every 2 months, you all get together and just like really, engage this process that say Mama talked about. So one of the things he had shared that he really liked about it was the idea was that it was for all levels, right? Of Shems, of aspirants. You don't even have to understand the deep Amun hidden Neberdjer to be able to benefit. You just start with the practice of just repeating the scripture, going through the scripture, chanting the name of Amun Ra, and then saying your own name, like Hunefer like did his name, your personality name, and that identification starts to shift. That Nuk-ing, that I am Nuk-ing correctly, Nuk Amun Ra, shifts everything to both aspects of the Ra, the exoteric, the visible, and the Amun, the hidden, that which is not. This is the concept of those who go to the Temple of Aset program on Thursday evenings, the devotional, and who have the Temple of Aset book, the mysteries of Aset and Ra. This is the same concept of netter-netterity. So this is why whatever your tutelary divinities and your access into the teachings, you should not be overwhelmed by it. It is all teaching you the same place. It's just you have a different personality than everyone else. You have different and different inclinations than everyone else. So you have to find your inroads The divinities and the Neteru are not meant to overwhelm. But when you get a deeper understanding of the teachings, when you advance in the teachings, then yeah, it's all one. It's Neberdjer, it's Ra. And so I can see why when we started out, Seba and I, and we had this understanding of Ra, of the oneness of all the Neteru. And so in the altar, we put like all these statues we have. We still have a bunch of them and a lot of them have gotten broken over the years when we bring them to the conferences and they don't make it back in one piece, or even, something shifts here in the box and whatever. But we put them all out and it was so overwhelming. And it wasn't for us. It just made perfect sense for us. And for some of you who've been in the teachings, it just makes perfect sense. But if you're new in the teachings, it's not overwhelming if you have this understanding of the underlying henotheistic nature and panentheistic nature of our religion. And so that's really important. And this scripture is for everyone, all levels. It has both. It has for the novice, and it has for those who are deep in advance in the teachings. And that's the beauty of when you share a teaching like that, because I know each one of you got something out of what Seba said, no matter where you are, because that's the power of the scripture and the beauty of the scriptures and the Kemetic scriptures, the myth, the ritual, the mysticism, our whole Kemetic tradition. So that was one important point that I wanted to share that stood out to me. And you're welcome to type, any aspects that you would like to share. But for brevity, I just want to go through it. And I think you all can meet and build on this. When Seba talked about, he gave basically the outline of it, right? You go through the scripture, you chant the name, and the chanting of the name concentrates the mind. It glorifies Amun Ra, which is your own essential nature. If you're Nuk-ing correctly, you have that wisdom and metaphysical understanding, like even just he went through there, and that leads you to spiritual enlightenment. This is a path to spiritual enlightenment in and of itself, in the nutshell, if you follow it anew correctly all along the way. And if you do that, he pointed out, it will give you sustenance, that vegetation, that sustenance, and the rays will penetrate deep. Even if you don't understand the deeper philosophy, you're being interpenetrated by the philosophy, by Amun Ra, deeply. And if you are at the level of spiritual where you pray to the divine, God is listening. God is listening. And he has living ears, which means he is hearing you as you are physically alive in this time and space realm, living your life. And live in the life process as well, through your immersion in the teachings. And so the key to it is adoring God's name, right? That we've heard that before. Those of you in the Temple of Set, that was Set's goal, to know Ra's name. Again, the parallel in the teachings is purposeful. They each are leading to that same goal in their own way, according to which tutelary divinity your heart resonates with. And when he talked about the vegetation and the life force energy through the vegetation, what did that remind you of? What did that remind you of? Isn't that a sar? Isn't that when we do Hetep Disi Neteriri Metuwaj, the Waj to greenery, the Waj leads to Wajet? The serpent power goddesses, the life force energy, all of that is encompassed in this teaching if you break it down in the scripture and that devotion. I have more notes, but I think those are the key aspects that I just wanted to highlight. And right now in other spiritual traditions, we have the mindfulness. This is mindfulness. What do you think the Unutu is that Seba talked about? That moment that doesn't even really exist. It's so tiny, where you can get a glimpse of that divine grace. It's in the present moment. That's what that Unutu, that present moment, being here, being now. And that's all that exists. That little aperture opening between the transcendental, if you want to think of it that way, speaking allegorically, right? Because it's not really that way, but speaking allegorically, metaphorically, that little window of opening that allows, when we are in the present moment, immersed in Amun Ra, whether we're chanting his name or we have gravitated to where we are one with Amun Ra in the attainment of enlightenment. That ultimate goal. That only occurs in this present moment when we're in time and space. The script, this tradition has it all, which is why this is my religious process. This is why I chose to become a Shems of Kemetic mystical tradition. Let's see. Yeah, and then Seba posed that question, how come Amun do something in peace? That was so powerful also. How can Amun do something in duality? Like, how can we run around here and be doing things in duality and be in Hetepu? I think that's really the highlight of the lecture. How does Amun Ra do it? Right? If we do it as Amun Ra, in that mindfulness, in that Unutu moment, that awareness of Amun Ra, have that awareness, whether it's just the chanting of the name, we don't have a lot of the philosophy, or we have a depth of the wisdom, or we have had glimpses. That's what we hold on to. That's our Nuk-ing correctly. That's our identity. And if we hold that inner heart, innermost essence, awareness, mindfulness, as we move around in our daily lives, day to day, we are going to be in Hetepu. We are going to be in peace. And we are going to be in oneness. And that oneness is going to lead us to the transcendental one of Neberdjer, of our true essence. I believe it there. Mic drop. The whole scripture was a mic drop. Oh, wow. So I think I saw some of you type something in Basibaket. I appreciate the devotional aspect, also given attention to the divine. Me. That's it. Sao Neberdjer. Sao Neberdjer teaching, Om Amun Ra Ptah. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So however you enter it, it's all Amun Ra. So I hope this presentation was meaningful, was resonant, and facilitates you to know correctly. And I wanted to have you all, if you're by a computer, type in one word. Well, and then I'm going to ask somebody, maybe if Basiba Cat afterwards, she can share with me the chat. Like, I need it in a way I can have access to the words, so I haven't typed them. But type in one word, whoever's in a computer, type in one word that means, that expresses what you best can use that word to express what touched you in the presentation. The whole presentation, say my mind, whatever touched you in the presentation. One word. And I will have something special for you next week based on that. If you want to email it to me, if you don't have access to a computer and you can type it in right now, chat, email it to me, Seba Dja. Just put it in the subject line. Don't write it, type a letter. Just put in the subject line. This is my word from the presentation. PNH lecture, it's 5 p.m. This is my word from the presentation. If you want to be part of it, what I will present, not next week when I do the second presentation on the 31st. So I wanted to have Uopsetna say a few words, but the words I wanted to have Uopsetna say are special. I want Uopsetna to lead us in a brief chant of the name of Amun Ra. Uopsetna, I don't know if you're available to come on, or if you can come on. If you cannot come on, verbally at least, and I'm putting Uopsetna in the spot. Uja, give me one moment, Uopsetna. Oh, actually, that's what I needed. Hang on one second. I didn't have to take the scripture off because
Yeah, you should get cold feet. Ready, Seba Dja?
Yes, give me one moment. I just wanted to have. This is good enough. I can't, it's too small for me to see the text, but I just wanted to have the scripture up there while we do it. Everyone can turn on your cameras if you would like to. If you optional, if you're in a sacred space and your background is fine, you're welcome to turn on your cameras. But we'll keep the mics off. I'll keep mine on. Well, I'll even keep mine off because I won't do it as a call and response. We'll all sort of chant along with Love Setna, but in our own sacred space with our mics off. So Love Setna will be the voice. Go ahead, Love Setna.
Tap, 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 tap. Before we leave, I'd just like to say thank you to Seba Dja, Sebai virtually, for being part of this auspicious day for Heru, for Amun. Also like to thank for Amun for being a wonderful guest to us today. As we continue to build and work together for the glory of the teachings. Sitting with the back straight, allow the abdomen to expand as you inhale, allow to contract back towards the spine as you exhale. Breathing in deeply and rhythmically. So we call and response in the same tone and in the same frequency. Om Amun Mut Kansu. Om Amun Mut Kansu. Om Amun Mut Kansu. Om Amun Mut Kansu. Om Asara Set Heru. Om Asara Set Heru. Om Asara Set Heru. Om Asara Set Heru. Om Ate Pate Pate Pate. Om peace, 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 peace. Tap. Do Seba Dja, do Unitarian family. Tap.
So do a Love Setna, do a Love Munti. I don't know if Love Munti has a camera to come on. And so as we go forward, let us nuke correctly. Do Abu Munti, do you want to share anything? Dua. And as we go forward, let's nuke correctly. And when Love Setna started to do the chants, probably maybe some of you experience of the mind wanted to go like, he did not chant in Nuk Amun Ra. But I hope after the lecture you realize that he chanted nothing but Nuk Amun Ra. It was all Nuk Amun Ra. So peace and blessings. Nuk Amun Ra. That's it. It's I think if there's any questions in it, I don't hate not to do questions, but it really wasn't a presentation more for questions, because it's a presentation to be unpacked. So much more and to work through the questions. But if anybody has questions, you can email me, and then for the next presentation, I will address them so that Heru can continue with their program. And peace and blessings to everyone. And I was thinking, Uwabamunti, where are you, Uwabamunti? Seba Ma had shared this with Uwaratem, and you kind of came in, were not a part of that official. You were with Uwaratem, but not like directly handed to you. So I was just thinking that this is Seba Ma and myself just directly handing it to you and to Per Amun and Per Heru officially. Unless there's anything else, I'll just leave the chat open for a little bit. And if anyone really, want to say something while we're allowing the chat to be open, you're welcome to come on and share, actually. Or just keep nuking internally. So Heru is a virtual temple. If the Heru with Uapsetna is a virtual temple. And the true Heru temple, of course, again, in the innermost essence. Quickly to read a few of the chats, because I think sometimes they don't show up in the videos. Okay, quickly. I see lots of feeling words. Okay. Okay, very nefer dua Seba Dja, puja Seba Dja, much dua Seba Ma, dua Seba Dja, hetep, uashu. Uja, I appreciate the devotional aspects of the giving attention to the divine. Puja dua Seba Dja, lecture is resonating. Asarma, Aspiring Soyini, Nuk. Well, these are the words: Aspiring Jasmine Waters, Shamsia Jehuti, quadrillion, Neberdjer feeling, word, Asarmat Nuk, Zeukepa full, Aspiring Heru Makit Unut, Bastubaket Nuk correctly, Shams Anki Ma'at, Uwashu worship, Bastubaket, Dua Sibaja, Akadusa Mama Hitapal, Aspiring Heru Makit Per, Du Per Heru, Du and Per Amun, Bastubaket, many blessings to all. Aspiring Heru, Dua Seba on all. So Kepra, congratulations to Absetna Ubamunti, and also congratulations to Sehu Kepra, you have your group there as well. And you're included because we're all one and the same. And really, I guess it's an anniversary for Temple of Shetan Netra to Temple of Asad, right? We all celebrate together. Dua Seba Ma, Dua Seba Dja, Dua all, Dua Hetep, Dua and congratulations, Uabsetna and Uabamunti, peace and blessings to all, Dua Hetep. Where's Heru located? I just said this was an excellent anniversary celebration. Dua Sehu, well done Per Amun, and Per Heru, Dua Seba Dja, Dua Sebai Ma, Dua Seba Ma, Dua Seba Dja for an excellent anniversary celebration. Uja Seba Dja Dua. Did you say Uashu was the same or different from Uashu when we chant? Nee, it's the same devotion. It's another way to spell under the spelling of Uwashu with Owashu. And some of the scriptures spell it that way. Seba spells it that way when he does some of the scriptures. If that's the question, do a Nebu for being part of our collective journey. Okay, that's that. I know a few more things are being typed, but everyone, you're welcome to sign off if you need to. I'm just going to leave it open so we can get the chat. That's that. And I'll actually put up a video, the imagery of the temple of Abu Simbel a little bit while we're doing that.
Uja Seba Dja, just a reminder to please let me know when you are closing it so I can then download to then upload. Hetep.
Do it. All the hand holding by all the Neteru and the royal personalities, how intimate the teachings are with these cosmic aspects and these cosmic principles. That's another aspect I so much appreciate and many of us resonate with. It's very personal, our religion. Aspirant or Umek, if you could just send you can email me the question. Just put in the email question for anniversary talk, and then email that, and we'll address it next time. That's all. Offering of Ma'at. Uche, if anyone needs to leave, you can. I'm just enjoying doing a visit for the temple. I haven't visited for a long time. So you're welcome to stay in if you have time to visit some of the branches, as Seba refers to them. But on just the devotional offerings, like devotion is just so very important. All the different aspects of Amun and different Neteru as well. And offerings and devotion. And it's just like, you know, there's never too much devotion. That's like such a key to spiritual enlightenment. Where the heart is, that's where the mind goes. The mind flows to where the heart goes. And just the mysteries to unpack. Each panel, the image, the impact. We'll talk a little bit, I think, next week about the visuals and how it relates to the sa and the understanding with the feeling. It tells you everything that's important here. The words, the scriptures, the wisdom are important, but also the feeling, the mind, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions are also important. Right feeling. I don't remember all the easy ways to get to the passageways, so we're just meandering through. We might repeat a few things. Let me go to the map. Let's see. It is here. Let's see what's in that branch. I think we were here already. It's in this branch. And I think we were here already too. Well, nothing wrong with, maybe not. Nothing wrong with being here again. So a lot of this is in the book. I think it's volume 5 of the Book of the Dead series and the 2019 Turing Conference. I think I forgot to say the 2019 Turing Conference. Has a lot to do. It was on this temple. And the mysteries of how it separates, half of the temple is to Amun, and half is focused on the aspect of Ra. Half is focused on the aspect of Amun, and half is focused on the aspect of Ra. And then you see the other divinities here. You see they're also represented. When I say half, like they're emphasized that there's a, I think I see here a mixture of, you know, I can't remember if the branches are like that also. But the hypostyle hall is, the second hypostyle hall is that way. Let's go to the Holy of Holies. This is the royal personality, Amun Ra Ptah, and there's a whole mystery. This is the Amun aspect, the mystery aspect, the esoteric. Divine barks. And this is the altar that we're, that have been an image of the divinities would have been. We were able to chant here when we were here. I think some of the trips we were able to squeeze in a chant because they don't allow you to chant in the temple, but we were able to have some quiet time and do a little bit of a chant in there. Om Amun Ra, Om Amun Ra. Trying to see to get to the antechamber. Let me go back to the map. This is the antechamber in front of it. A lot of the Elementine Island divinities are represented here too. Khnum, Tzatzet, Anket in this temple because of its location being very south. And Nefertari's temple is around the other side. The Heru and Mut. Okay, we will leave it there. I will officially turn off the cameras. Peace and blessings, everyone. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?